G'day and welcome back to Amaze TV. My name's Neen James, and from time to time I get to interview people that I think are amazing. What does it really mean to be amazing? Now, I know that I'm blonde, and because I'm blonde, I had it tattooed on my wrist because it is so important to me that every day that I look at the world in awe and wonder and go, that's amazing to me. Our guest today is a gentleman who I've admired for years, and this is a man who is a very accomplished artist, author, and a great speaker. He and I share a real passion for productivity. He speaks to many clients about how they can achieve more balance, and he looks at life through a fantastic lens. He is also the author of a book that I've absolutely loved reading called Penguins Can't Fly, 39 and, well, more than 39 rules that just don't exist. Joining us today is the legendary Jason Kotecki, who is not only professionally amazing, but he is also a wonderful father, a dedicated husband, and very committed in his community. Hey, Jason, welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Neen. Wow, legendary, amazing. Like I can't follow that. So this is best. You need to come with me on the road and do all my introductions.
I would be absolutely privileged to share some time with you. So congratulations on your latest project. I have admired your artwork and have been the beneficiary of your beautiful pieces for many years, but you've put it all in a book. So tell me about the journey of the beautifully illustrated books that I've ever received.
Well, it's been a very exciting journey for sure, and yeah, we're super excited because it's the first time that the words and the pictures have been together. When I sent it off to the editor, I told Kim, I'm like, I can't do a book on. This is how all my books have to be from now on, because just when you have it all in one package. Now, has made it a little challenging because some people think it's like a children's book, because there's pictures in it and they're whimsical, but it's not. It's I guess it's kind of like a children's book for grown-ups, I suppose. And it's kind of neat. What we're kind of excited about is it's weird to consider that for a book that the words are the free prize. It's like a weird thing that, like, I think, it's a beautiful book and it's got neat pictures and it draws people in and like, oh, this is really cool. And then when they actually read it, people are like, "Wow, this is actually a book." There's like some, hopefully it makes people laugh and think, yeah. And because there's a lot of really beautiful books that are gift books that have quotes and pictures and stuff like that. But this one has content, and so I think it's, like I said, it's weird that people are like, "Wow, this is a really cool book." Plus, the words are good, the content's good and stuff. So hopefully, at least that's the feedback so far. But yeah, we try to create something that gets people to laugh and hopefully think a little bit, and we're just tickled with how it turned out.
You should be really proud of it. Now, I know that you and Kim are on a personal mission to cure adultitis. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, yeah. So adultitis is a terrible, terrible disease that we are fighting against. Our long-term goal is it's so aware of, in the public awareness, that it's in the dictionary. Until then, we'll continue to fight on, but it's what happens when you forget what it was like to be a kid. I am a huge fan. I'm sure many of your viewers are also aware of Seth Godin. I love him. One of the coolest things I ever got from him, I got a chance to interview him many years ago, and I asked him about adultitis, and he said, "You do know that adultitis literally means swelling of the adult." And itis, that's what, arthritis, swelling of the joint. And I thought of him like, that's awesome. Like, that is exactly, it's when you have too much adult is exactly what adultitis is. And that, I love, like, when you start out, you talk about being amazing and waking up every morning. That's what I love about you, is that's the childlike side of kids see every day as a new adventure, and there's so many amazing things. And unfortunately, as we get older, we get a little bit more cynical, and that kind of been there, done that, got the t-shirt attitude, and that's a typical sign of adultitis.
So I really want to talk to you about some things I love about the book. Obviously, the way that it is illustrated is beautiful. And I was the recipient of your wall calendar this year, which hangs very proudly in my office. So I love the way you've been very clever with your illustrations. But there's a couple of phrases that you use that I love. One in particular is this whole idea of opting out. Now, lots of people might think about that as just opting out of the emails that they're subscribing to. But can you explain to our viewers more out? What does that mean?
Well, as many people know, like when you go online and buy something, usually there's that little checkbox at the bottom of the shopping cart that's like, would you like to get our awesome, amazing deals and coupons? And normally I think the good companies leave it unchecked so that you have to opt in to get it, right? But there's those other ones who are like, of course you want all this amazing spam we're going to send you, and they check it for you. And if you don't want it, you have to opt out. And if you don't opt out, you end up getting all sorts of junk in your email box. And I think life is the same way. There are so many, whether they're rules that don't exist or things that everyone just seems to do because they think they're supposed to do them, that people just automatically are opted into. So, for example, I'm a parent. My kids aren't quite, well, they're getting to the age where the extracurricular activities have the potential to take over, right? And I see a lot of peers who they're running 24 hours a day practically with their kids in these things, and Kim and I are like, we don't want that life. We need to opt out of that thing. And so what I try to get people to think about is to look at all the things that they do in their life, whether it's going to the grocery store, doing this or doing that, what your job is, all that, and opt out of all of it, and then mindfully choose and opt back in to what makes sense for you.
I love that. And it makes sense from a productivity point of view for our viewers who are passionate about really driving performance is, one of the things that I say regularly is no is a complete sentence. Mm-hmm. So having the ability to say no to the things that don't matter so you can say yes to the things that really do. Yeah. There's a gorgeous illustration in the book of the beautiful little Lucy. I remember when she was tiny. And there's a fantastic story that you tell about practice just being brave enough. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so Lucy would, she all along, when we travel and we're by the ocean or whatever, at the very beginning she was deathly afraid of the ocean and the waves. And as we've progressed, she gets a little braver every time. We were just in Clearwater. I took her, it was our third daddy-daughter business trip. And so I took her, and she went with me out in the ocean, and we were up to, my neck, so it was deeper than her, and she was braver than she'd ever been. Now, she was afraid she saw a shark and all this stuff, but part of it goes back to a movie. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie We Bought a Zoo with Matt Damon in it, and there's a line in there where he tells his son, sometimes you just need 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery, and I promise you something good will come of it. And that really resonated with me because when I was little, I was scared of everything. And I was afraid of new situations. Like I was the only kid in my kindergarten class to cry on the first day of school. It was a thing. My mom thinks it's a miracle that I make a living speaking in front of people. She's like, I don't know how that happened. But one of the things I learned along the way is that you make, once in a while, 20 seconds of embarrassing bravery here and there can make a difference. And when you make those 20 seconds, it's just brave enough. You make your comfort zone a little bit bigger, and then forever that comfort zone is that much bigger. So that's what the being just brave enough. You don't have to be brave every single second of the day. 20 seconds here and there seems to make a difference.
I wrote a blog some time ago now, and there's a great song called Brave, and one of the lines that resonated with me in the song was, how big is your brave? And I think leaders that really want to be amazing, people who want to have more impact and influence in the world, need to have that level of bravery. And as an Australian, one of the things I've learned about myself is that I don't follow rules. I am the most non-compliant person, and I get really bored with routine, which probably sounds crazy coming from a productivity expert. I love to systemize things, but I'm the kind of person that if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to do it just to prove you wrong. And so when I was reading the book, one of the things that I noticed was when you were little, you were the person who did color inside the lines. You were the person who followed the rules. So there's some people who are watching this who might be really compliant, Jace, and there's some people who maybe are more on the end like I am, where they love to break the rules. What advice would you have for our viewers about how they could have maybe be able to implement some of the great things that you talk about in this book, regardless of where they are on the spectrum?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot has to do with what we just said, being just brave enough, right? And to take the metaphor, one of the things I like to talk about is the idea of tinkering, right? And if you look up tinkering in the dictionary, it's basically to work with something in an unskilled or experimental manner. And those two words, unskilled and experimental, when we were kids, we tinkered all the time, right? My daughter, Virginia, recently learned how to walk, and I talk about how, when she let go of the couch for the first time, she fell. No surprise, right? You know what else is not a surprise is when she got up, she didn't say, "You guys are so talented at walking. I could never be as good as you. I'm going to wait." Right? And that's crazy. But as we get older, we have to be experts before we even begin. We have to know exactly how something is gonna turn out before we even try it. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've kind of discovered is that I don't know about you, but I never really know exactly how anything is going to turn out. I don't know exactly how many steps I have to make. I usually know what the next step is. Mm-hmm. And then when I do the next step seems to present itself. So I think no matter where you are in the spectrum, the goal is just to take a little bitty step and tinker and try and experiment. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Don't get all caught up in oh, I failed, or it didn't work, or what do people think? Just try it. If it doesn't work, then try something else. And if it does, then keep moving along. So I think tinkering is a big key. I love talking about that concept.
I love that, and I do a lot of work with corporate audiences. I grew up in corporate business, it's what I know, and I'm definitely a corporate girl through and through. But one of the things that I suggest to many of my corporate clients is the whole idea of pilot. So in corporate speak, it might be a pilot, and in the world, it might be tinkering.
Yeah.
So I believe if you use the word pilot as an initiative, a project you want to try, people are so much more likely to trust you, to allow you some freedom, you can bend some rules. And I believe by inserting the word pilot into a project, you also get greater buy-in. And through my whole corporate career, I was able to drive a lot of initiatives by just saying, hey, let's just pilot this. But I love your word, let's just tinker with it. So maybe tinker is the world speak and pilot is the corporate speak. And I think it's a fantastic way to do things. There's a great quote in your book that I love, and it says, why do we waste our time doing things which, if we only stop to think about them, are just the opposite of what we were made for, by Thomas Merton. And so I think your book, Jace, is definitely a must-read for anyone, whether you are a rule follower or maybe you're a rule breaker. There's some great information. It makes a beautiful gift for people. The hardcover is gorgeous. Jace, I know there's going to be people watching this who would be interested in maybe you coming into their organization or association. I know you do an enormous amount of work as a speaker. How do people contact you if they want to get their hands on your book, or maybe they want to hire you to come in and speak to their organization?
Yeah, so we do. We love talking about rules that don't exist. We usually go in the life balance, stress management, sort of getting rid of burnout, and then the rules that don't exist leads to a lot of interesting discussion on innovation. How do you become more innovative by doing pilots, by tinkering, by experimenting and breaking rules that don't exist? So all of it, whether it's the speaking, the book, we have all kinds of other fun stuff that we're doing all the time. All of that can be found on escapeadulthood.com. That's where we live on home, and we invite anyone to stop by and see what we have going on.
Thank you. I so appreciate you being part of Amaze TV. I know that the viewers who will have participated in this will get the opportunity to get some insights. Think about how maybe you can opt out, how you can be just brave enough, and maybe how you can start tinkering with things. Jason, thank you for being our guest today. And remember, you can find Jason at escapeadulthood.com, and his book is called Penguins Can't Fly. So congratulations once again, and thanks for being part of today.
Thanks, Neen. It was so fun. Thanks for having me.